because we come from communities where the truth doesn't always reach the headlines, but it lives in what we face every day. This is Changing Trends and Times, bringing clarity and context to the issues shaping our lives right now. No spin, no distractions, just real talk rooted in real impact. Now, are you ready to lean in and bring your voices into the conversation? Then, allow me to introduce to you a man committed to asking the questions that matter and breaking it down so we all understand. Your host, Charles King.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Changing Trends and Times. They say the only constant in the universe is change. But what they don't always tell you, what the textbooks leave out, and what the boardrooms sometimes forget, is that change, real change, is not accidental. It is chosen, it is forged in the quiet hours before the world wakes up, in the difficult decisions that don't come with applause, and in the unwavering belief that what you carry inside you is too important to stay hidden. We live in a world that is shifting beneath our feet every single day, culturally, socially, economically, and it takes a particular kind of person to not just survive those shifts, but to become the shift itself. That is what this show is about. That is what Changing Trends and Times was built for. We are 17 episodes into this journey, season 1, episode 17, and I want you to understand something. Every single conversation we've had on this platform has been a brick laid in the foundation of something bigger than any one of us. We don't just interview people here. We excavate legacies, we illuminate pathways, we hold the space for the kinds of stories that don't always make the front page, but absolutely deserves to. Today is one of those days that I've been looking forward to since we first put this episode on the calendar, because the woman joining us today doesn't just talk about transformation, she is transformation, walking, breathing, building, and serving. Before I bring her out, I want to say this directly to everyone watching, listening, and streaming in right now. Wherever you are on your journey, whether you feel like you're at the beginning, the middle, or somewhere you don't quite have a name for yet, let this episode be a mirror. Let it remind you that purpose is not privilege reserved for the few. It is a call that goes out to every single one of us. And the question has never been whether the call went out. The question has always been, are you ready to answer it? Our guest today answered that call loudly, boldly, and with both grace and fire. She is a CEO, a published author, a community champion, and one of the most compelling voices in the intersection of Black excellence, entrepreneurship, and cultural legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome her in, because she is not just a guest on this show. She is a living testament to what happens when a woman walks fully in her purpose, refuses to shrink in spaces that were built for her, and uses every gift she has been given to pour back into the world around her. Please join me in welcoming the extraordinary, the dynamic, the irreplaceable Shatiera Porte'e.
Thank
Welcome.
you, Charles.
Hey, thank you, and welcome to the show.
Yes, that was one of the best introductions I've had. Come on now.
Well, look, I appreciate that. Look, and I really have been waiting, for this episode because, when we talked, there were a lot of things about your journey and where you're going right now that really speaks loud, and it should speak loud to a lot of us. Before we get into the show, is there anything you'd like to say to the audience?
I just want to say first, I just want to say to you, Charles, just thank you. Thank you for having me audience, this is a show and an episode that there's going to be a lot of gems, a lot of great information. Come back, right? Come back and watch not only this episode, episode 17, but all of the episodes that Charles is showcasing and sharing our testimonies. This is important. And I'm just happy to be here. And also just make sure that you have something to write with. Go grab something to write with, your notebook, your journal, post it, something so that you can be able to write down some information because anything that you get here from today, if it doesn't directly impact you, it will with your children or the children that you are working around or in your community. And right now, they need us more than ever.
Well, I want to thank all of the people that are out that's out here listening right now that are watching the show, especially the people that are with us each and every show.
Mm.
And well, let me just put this on the screen for you before we begin.
Okay.
Uh, um, Mr. Jackson says, "Fire with the intro."
That is my best friend. I know and even he's at work and he said, I can't miss that between you and Mr. King and you. I'm going to tune in. So I'm so excited that he's here. And yes, the intro was fire. I got to come back and listen to that once a week because it's going to get me going each week.
Well, I like to start each and every show, with what I call, your life story, your journey.
Yes.
And so, because I like the audience to get the opportunity to learn about the guest as we get into the show. Can
Mhm.
you take us all the way back to the beginning? Where did you grow
Mm.
up, and what was the world like around you as a child? What did your community look, feel, and sound like?
Such a good question. So if we go way, way back, I was born in the 80s, early 80s. And I was also born to a teenage mom. Right. And so immediately, because she was a teenage mom, immediately my grandmother and my great grandmother were her support system and then became my caretakers. And my grandmother actually is my mom. I call her mom to this day. Around that time, I'm coming from a suburban area, but it was also not publicly stated or identified, but some people would look at it as somewhat segregated. Like if you cross the tracks, you have, one side of the tracks, which was the west side of Red Bank, and I live in New Jersey, and I'm still in New Jersey, and I'm still in that town to this day, Red Bank, New Jersey. And if you cross the tracks or a certain part in the town, it's like the west side, right? That's where your melanin, your black and brown, your community, but so much history. This is Red New Jersey is where the Count Basie Theater is where the T. Thomas Fortune Center is. It's cultural, it's arts. A lot of people have come through or is from Red Bank, creatives, educators. And then on the other side, we call the east side. That's the opposite side, where typically is looked at as you know, upper class and predominantly Caucasian. And what was unique about my family is that my great grandmother had a house on both sides. So she had a
Oh, wow.
house, yes, she had a house on the east side. And then she had her house, which was a boarding house, where she took in, clients, we called them, but they were our family members of older, elderly people who were Caucasian. And they lived with her, and she ran that boarding house. And then we lived around the corner. I also came from a family who was a Baptist family, so church was every Sunday. And we volunteered. We were ushers. We sang in a choir. We went to Bible study. Went to all of the things, Mr. King. All of the things, and also what that was going around. You have that, there was drugs, right? There was partying, it was having fun. And in my family and around our community, I saw that. But at the same time, I started to pour myself into school. I wanted to be a pediatrician or a teacher growing up. I wanted to make my mom proud. At that time, I really wanted my mom. She was young, so she was out partying in the streets and having her time. She was also someone at straight A. She was in ballet, but she, got hooked on to the streets. And I wanted to make her proud. So I felt at that time, I thought that if I got straight A's and did really, really well and be like her, that would, kind of like stop, her addiction and being able to kind of like come back home. But around that time, I dealt with also, colorism as a young girl as well, whether it was like just seeing comparison of my skin being darker than my brother, who had a lighter skin, just what was going around. But at the same time, I also was loved and we played together. This is when we was out on the streets and we played kickball and cheerleading and rode bikes and stayed out and collecting lightning bugs and the soda bottles. So I don't see that much with the kids outside as much as it was when we were coming up. We played together. If we fought, had an argument, it went away in an hour or two or the next day and we came back together. So it was very much so community. Everybody knew everybody's children. Everybody knew, like, if I went up the street and I wasn't doing right, I'm gonna go home and call your grandmother, get home now. So it was that really that community feeling that we had, that I feel like I don't see my son currently, who's going to be 18 in a couple of months, with that. But it also, no matter what we went through, I truly believe around that time taught resilience, perseverance, excuse me, and even being around single, hardworking, or widowed Black women taught me this level of strength that I didn't know I had until I became a mother, until I became, older now. I didn't see that. I was shy. They used to say I used to hide around my grandmother's leg and not talk. So I had to deal with some self-confidence issues. I had to utilize being able to say my voice. But I was a really, really studious student, really, really well. And then when I got to middle school, I started having a hard time.
So, who were the people in your early life, family members,
Mm-hmm.
neighbors, elders, who planted
Mm.
seeds in you even before you knew what those seeds were for?
Yeah. So if I started with my home, my mom still planted a seed in me, just like I used to call her like a hustler. Like she just, I'm saying, no matter what life threw her, she was able to survive and she didn't crumble, she didn't crush. Even with her lifestyle, even like the hard time she had, she was just always moving and doing what she had to do. And she made sure that she planted us in an environment with my grandmother, my great grandmother, family, knowing that we were going to be protected, even if she had to do what she needed to do. My grandmother, my great grandmother, I would say comes next. Still to this day, my great grandmother, she had passed in 2019, but my grandmother, who I call mom, has been so instrumental in how I am as a mother, how I am as a woman, working hard too. I realized getting older, though, there were some things I realized getting from that I had to change because I became so independent that even at a time, sometimes it's hard to receive help because you're in this survival mode and you are protecting your household. And I also watched women who around that time, women weren't able to at a certain year be able to buy a house, right? I saw my family, women buy houses, have property, right? Be able to
able
have
to have
entrepreneurship,
entrepreneurship,
being able
being able
to
to
um have the boarding home and different things like that, being able to show us with having money, saving, financial literacy in the different ways. And then even though my dad wasn't present in my life as much, my uncle, who stepped up and is out about family and tried to do the best he could to be able to be a role model. He worked for the post office. My brother, we're kind of like Irish twins. I'm June 21st, he's June 17th, so we're like less than a year apart. But that was my best friend. Like no matter what, we just stuck together. My mom, my biological mother, she taught us that ever since we was little. Like no matter what, you don't let nobody pick on your sister. You don't let nobody pick on your brother. So it was really this family, this close knit family, that instilled with me. And then when it came to education, there's just identified teachers that I felt like most of my teachers was really, really nice and supportive and witnessed something in me that they would always share with my grandmother and my great grandmother, that she's very smart, she's very studious. I got honorable student of the month. But there were some teachers, especially teachers of color, like my Mrs. Freeman. I believe she's my second grade teacher. She was strict. Like sometimes she didn't even smile, and you would wonder, like, is she having a good day? But she instilled this discipline in us at an early age. I was able to get to middle school, and middle school is tough, and it was one of my toughest years. I had he's no longer living, but his name was Mr. Harris. He was also a reverend. He was my science teacher. I had a Mr. Jones. I had, Miss Amos. Like, and then when I got to high school, I felt like I became to be in classrooms where I was the only one. And we call that the 2% or the 1%, where it was just me. The color of my skin was the only one in the classroom. When I got to that, I really didn't have many teachers that were of color that taught me. I didn't have African American literature, or didn't even to know to kind of like make sure I picked that for my classes. And when I got to almost my senior year, I had to switch to get my school. I switched to have another school counselor. Her name is Mrs. Linda Cornegay. I will never forget her because I almost didn't graduate from high school, and she never gave up for me. She made sure that I didn't fall between the cracks of our system, that even though I felt like the other, that I wasn't the other. And she helped me get a scholarship for the double NACP, business, Black Women in Business Scholarship. I was able to, not only I was told in April of my senior year I wasn't going to graduate, I did graduate and I did go to college. I went to Bloomfield College, and she made sure that even in that short period of time, you just had that one person who doesn't give up on you. And then as I came up, I had other professors, and then mentors. I had Miss Reverend Sheila L. Thor, Mrs. Ruby Simmons, Miss Gloria Penn. I just have so many people that they're older, and I've always been connected to older Black women who are like generations before me. But I sit and I listen to them, and I pay attention to them, and I just see what they've endured and how they made two coins make it $10 million, and just how they just make sure that there's these values that you need to have and instill. And I think those are the things that I still hold to this day. I think it's important to be able to educate yourself, but there's some things, Mr. King, that the books don't won't tell you, and there's some things that the jobs won't give you, and there's some things that no matter if you go to this country or that country, you won't get. There's these people that you have in place that I feel like that's important to you. And I think that's what instilled being a mentor and a community leader and an advocate, and especially in education, has really, really reminded me, and always as a reminder to make sure I continue to show up in a certain way.
So having that strong foundation, because that's a really strong foundation that you have.
Hmm. Hmm.
What kind of impact has that had on you in your career today?
Mm, I think additionally, every day realizing that you be proud of where you come from, no matter what. You continue to make sure that how you wake up each every day, and I'm really passionate, and I really live my life about being and not to go into it, but it's part of my life, so I have to say this: being obedient to my calling and my assignment that God has given me. I wouldn't be here without him. It really has me my morals and my values, Mr. King, they are important to me. I'm not going to sacrifice. I'm not going to do something just for a paycheck. I'm not going to do something because it's cool. Just being able to shine bright in rooms. And if that door is not open for you, you go make a door for yourself. And it's really has helped me because coming up, like I told you, I was young, I was shy, I lacked confidence. Even though I had amazing women around me, I had amazing examples around me, I didn't really step into my confidence to this day until I was in my 30s. I got to be honest. I don't want to miss that because, as much as, like you said, I had that around me, it took me a long time to be able to implement that in my own life. And I was still doing the work, working as a counselor, doing mental health in schools. But I had to realize, like, if I'm going to show up and make a bigger impact, I have to model the things that I was taught, and I do believe in them. So I had to get myself together as well. But I truly believe that it keeps me on a straight path, remembering where you're from, remembering what you've been taught, being able to still to be able to have access. My grandmother is still here, my mother's still here. Mrs. Penn, Reverend Thorpe is still here, Mrs. Simmons, they're still here, and we still have those conversations. And I think always remember being a student, always making sure you can go to them and ask for advice, and listen, and also don't think you're too big. We call this you're not bigger than the program, right? But you got skills, and you're dope, and you're all of that, right? But at the same time, like, if you're continually trying to make an impact and you learn and grow, you go to those people who instill this to you, and you check in, and you tell them what's going on, and you listen, because they're going to give you constantly gems and tools to help you move forward.
So, if you're honest with yourself, what were you like before you became who you are today? What parts of that younger version of
Mm,
yourself do you still carry?
okay, so Mr. Kent, you getting all the tea. So my youngest self. My younger self, oh my God, I was a firecracker, a fire pistol. I had the biggest attitude at times. Um, wasn't patient. I wanted it now. Um, I mean, word on the street, I was spoiled, but that's just people talking. I just feel like, but really bright, and really smart. I think to this day, very smart, sharp. You give me something, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to thrive. I want something more all the time. I'm a workaholic. That has stayed with me all the way up until there's sometimes I have to tell myself, all right, we need a break. You got to take a break. But I think the work ethic piece, working hard, also being kind to your neighbor, being loving. I think that's a lot of what people would say to me. Like someone I met recently at a conference, and he said, "You were just so nice. Are you like this all the time?" And I was like that when I was a kid. I really was nice. Even if people treated me not so nice or took advantage, I didn't let that taint my soul or make me cold. I still wanted to be a good person. I do believe I'm a good person. I believe I'm a loving person, and I like to help. So those are the things that I feel like are still stuck with me today, that I don't look at as a negative. I look like as something I'm proud of, to still be able to say I have that today.
Let's talk a little bit about your work as a CEO and your entrepreneurial journey.
Hmm.
Um, Walk us into the world as a CNO. Your world as a CEO. What do you lead, and what's the driving mission behind your
Mm,
organization? The why that keeps you going, even when the work is hard.
mm. The why that keeps me going, I'll start there first and then I'll kind of go backwards. The why that keeps me going is empowerment and impact for our young people. That is what drives me each and every day. When it's quiet, when if there's a contract or a youth serving organization that says not right now, and you want to get discouraged, you say, no, I'm doing this for our young people. I know what it feels like to not have access to programs to help me navigate how I want to show up in the world, how to increase my confidence, how to be able to think about what I want to do in the future, being able to have mentorships and being able to have somebody pour into you that listen to you and hear you. So what's my why and my driving mission is to be able to be that somebody, be able to be a mentor, and like how Miss Linda Cornegay was for me, like how Miss Simmons and Reverend Thorpe, how these women, how they are for me, being able to be a role model for our young people to be able to listen to, get questions and feedback to. As a CEO and a founder of School Counselors on Wheels, we are the driving force about going into youth serving organizations. So that's your school districts, your after school programs, your churches, your communities that really have young people, and being able to say, let us partner with you, let us work with you to be able to provide additional programs and resources for our young people to help them be socially, emotionally, mentally, and academically successful, to make sure that our students are not also being academically, athletically proficient, but also saying we want them to be able to thrive and be prepared when you walk out of school in that real word. But we want to not wait until they get older and as an adult and do professional development and conferences and things. We want to, while they're in school, like instead of
Yes.
just having math, ELA, science, we want to be able to have classes and the student youth development while they're in school, to be able to help them emotionally regulate, to be able to have them think big and dream big, to have them say, okay, what's my plan? To be able to have them understand financial literacy and wealth and legacy and being able to be somebody. So what we currently do is we go in and we provide empowerment girls programs, empowerment young men programs, college and readiness seminars, where we sit and we have a reset model and we help students reset, pause, right, begin to start smart planning and be able to look at their next level as they transition each year, but also when they graduate from school. So we want to do an earlier intervention where we work with students as young as kindergarten all the way up to college, where we are helping them be able to think bigger, um, act bigger, but implement daily, whether they in school or not, how they want to show up and do great things when they get older.
Well, there's a few comments here in the chat. I'm
Okay,
gonna put those on
comments.
the screen, and
Okay.
you're able to respond to these
Okay.
if you like.
Okay.
Um, there's that one there from Corey. Empowerment
Yes.
and impact.
Hmm.
And here's Sebastian saying hi.
Hi, Sebastian, and welcome. I know that empowerment and impact one, that is key because one of the things that I sometimes think we miss with our young people is to make sure they feel seen and heard and to empowerment and compliment them. So one of the things that I have put into place and practice, and you can do this daily, I do it daily, but I do with them is winning Wednesday. So every Wednesday we celebrate a win and gratitude and what they're grateful for, but I let them lead it. And every Wednesday, be like, I don't know, I don't think I have anything. I'm like, well, what are you proud of? What do you want to celebrate? And just that right there alone is another way of empowerment. And how you impact them is for them to think bigger and for them to compliment themselves and letting them know they're doing a real good job. But one of the things they come back and say, "Why you asked me how I was doing, Miss Porte? You at Miss Shatira, you checked in with me. You know, you helped me celebrate this week. I was really having a hard time this week." So that's what that empowerment and impact could look like.
And here's another one here.
Okay.
School Counselor on Wheels LLC.
Yes, that is our business, School Counselors on Wheels LLC, where we're internationally. Even this spring, Mr. King, we paired up with She's Math. She's in Miami, Florida, and she has a math and STEM, a nonprofit where she works with Black girls to be able to help them in college career readiness. And we came together and we did a pilot where we worked with the girls in Miami and girls in Uganda and like once a month on Saturdays, early morning, because they have a different time zone, we were able to for them to be able to connect. So we did cultural, exchange where the girls in the United States could learn about the girls in Uganda, but we did empowerment and impact and self-confidence and be able to really look at how they want to show up and what's similar but what's also different and how sisterhood, cross-cultural sisterhood
Sisterhood
empowerment
empowerment
is amazing.
So, what did the earliest days of building your enterprise look like?
Mm.
Was there a moment where you almost stopped? And what made you keep going?
Yes, there's a couple of moments. But so I truly believe that I didn't find school counselors on wheels. School counselors on wheels found me. And what I mean by that is that truly believe that God gave me school counselors on wheels. I was working in mental health. I've been working in mental health now for over 2 decades, so over 20 years. And I was in education, over a decade, over 10 years. And I was transitioning, looking for something else while I was in education. And I was working at in a school district. And I thought I was just getting fed up. I was frustrated. I wanted just my surroundings to look at the social emotional wellness being of children, just not test scores in school classes, especially because this is around the time where we were in the middle of COVID. And I just felt like I was in just a locked room. And no matter what I said about these students are not doing well, and we got to do this and we got to do that, but at the same time, I know we got to graduate them. I know we have to do this, but do we understand? Like, we never been through anything like this before. So I resigned my leadership position, and I thought I was going to take a break. And literally, I was sitting in, excuse me, at the computer, and one of my colleagues have told me, like, you can do this. Like, people are gonna, like, you can be a virtual counselor. And I was like, oh, okay. And I have a certification. I'm certified in the state of New Jersey as a school counselor. And I said, boom, school counselors on wheels. And I birthed the name. And then from that, I started doing virtual workshops with Black girls on the weekends, Saturday mornings, where we did expressive writing, self love, confidence while we were on COVID. And then I started doing speaking engagements. And my business started to grow from doing virtual workshops to going in person, doing mental health wellness talks and speaking at colleges and universities. Then I started mentoring and consulting in school districts where I started helping new counselors build their comprehensive programs and being able to look at the programs they want for their students and being able to engage families and looking at curriculum for social emotional learning. And then it just started to grow, and I was like, okay, but what are we doing? And I think there was times where, what you say, when I wanted to walk away because it was harder. Sometimes you look at it, you when you're in another organization and you're helping that organization succeed, make money, make millions, whatever that looks like. Now you're doing it solo at the time, and you don't know, you don't have a business background. So at the same time you're running a business in my enterprise, I'm also learning about it at the same time. So I was involved in organizations like Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women in Business. I was the cohort 4. I was in the inaugural New Jersey Black Women Leadership Collective. So I'm taking also courses and being a part of programs to help me plant me and set a foundation, but I'm learning at the same time. So I am making mistakes. I don't know it's perfect. I'm building business plans at the same time. I'm trying to do all these things because I'm trying to stay obedient to my calling, to my assignment. And there was times where when the money didn't come in, and I'm a single mom, and I'm trying to parent, and I'm trying to pay bills, and things, all the things are happening where I say, maybe I'm not built for this, right? You start thinking things like that. But then you got the other part of you and saying, come on, do you know whose granddaughter you are? You know whose daughter you are? That hustler that you talked about, it's kind of like you've been down before. You are also a Black woman, a Black young girl who they told you wasn't going to graduate from high school, and in 2 months you turned around and you got accepted in college. You got a scholarship. You graduated with a three, and you went to college. You graduated on the dean's list. You went to master. You got your master's. You got almost a 4.0 there. You got a certificate. You've traveled right. Like, come on. Like, so I have to constantly remind myself that um, I am built. And I'm a unicorn, and I'm in that part of that. My coach and mentor, Dr. Erica Jordan Thomas, we call her Dr. EJT. We are that 2%, and it looks different for us. And you just got to work hard. But I think sometimes, like I said, when you're back up against the wall, or especially now, I think we talked about it a little bit, where you see there's like a financial economic crisis, or where it's harder for Black women to kind of lead or get funding, or, get yeses to certain things. It's hard, and it makes you question and say, is it worth it? But every day I remind myself about the little Shatiera and where she came from, and all the other little Shatieras and the little Mr. Kings that's coming up that need somebody to show them what's possible, is why I keep going, Mr. King. But it's tough. I remember in 2024, I almost walked away for good. And I remember I was reading this book. My mentor and coach, Dr. EJT, she gave it to me. It's called The Calling by RHA Goddess. And it just talks about how you show up for yourself and what you're supposed to do. And I remember having this breakthrough, and I was crying, and I said, okay, God, I'm gonna get in the passenger seat, and I'm gonna let you lead me, and I'm not gonna walk away from this business until you tell me something different, but I'm not going anywhere. And from that, I kind of did a shift and started to really just pour into it. And I just continue to show up and do what I gotta do for our young people.
So, as a Black woman in executive leadership, what specific barriers have you encountered that
Mm,
others in the room simply did not have to face? And how have you navigated them without losing yourself?
mm. I think initially, one of the things too, I should have said earlier, that I think I had to be more strategic and intentional about, is that two things that come to my mind when you ask me that question. The first is when I first came in, because I was thinking about the financial aspect of running an enterprise and a business, was saying yes to everything. Like every opportunity that came, whether it was aligned with my business or not, my morals and values, I'm really good at that. I never compromise that. But I'm just saying, like, if there was things that maybe I wasn't doing, but I could do based on based upon my resume, but I wasn't operating in my, zone of genius, but I was just, doing things because I'm able to do it, I was saying yes to. And I felt like that I was chasing, opportunities and situations that I feel like maybe if some people came in a room that didn't even have that experience that I'm looking for, because they know somebody that knows somebody, they might get the opportunity. But for me, I don't, or I have to jump hoops and do all these other things to be able to even get a chance to be looked at, or get my file, or my business, whatever the case may be. And I felt like that was harder than saying yes to everything, and I wasn't happy. I realized I'm not happy doing all this, and this is not exactly what we do here, right? So I have to kind of look at let's stick to the program. And I think the other piece, um I would say, is just making sure that you don't shrink your worth and your value. And when I talk about that, I do mean that literally, like to make sure you stand tall, you shine bright, you're visible, you talk about your business with as much pride, and you have others remember you. But at the same time, um, just because you get a no doesn't mean you have to go back and change your price, or you have to make sure you have to be a cheap, you know what I'm saying? I think just knowing your self-worth essentially, and that's what the programs that we do in general. But I think those are the two things in executive leadership I had to just say, okay, this is what this is. We're looking at the market research. We see what we do. We operate from a high level of excellence in student experience programs in person. There's this is what this is why this is the way it is. So don't shrink that, and don't minimize that, and don't change that. And I think once I was able to make sure that I stood tall in that, and move forward in my business, those are things that I realized that, you're going to get a no, and maybe that's just not your customer, your client, or the person that you're supposed to be with. But then also you look at your receipts and you see, right, that there you do have good work, and you do have people that work with you, and you just keep going. So those are I think the two things that early on, and even still, I'm always making sure that I don't let that make me fold, when it comes to my business.
Wow. How would you describe your leadership philosophy? What does
Mm.
Shatiera Porte believe about how people should be led, developed, and valued?
Mm. One of the things, I think I still have this conversation with one of my colleagues, and we were talking about leadership. And I think leadership, one of the best leaders that I have, or I try to, that, and I want to say this too, because I struggled in this in the beginning, but I get it now. One of the things is I had trouble delegating. Like as a leader, my mentor, that's why she gonna love this episode, child. She always used to tell me, you need to give that to somebody. And I'm like, you just think, I think one of the things, you think you have to do everything. And that is not operating in leadership. You have to, as a leader, if you are leading and you know your organization and you know your people, you're able to survey, and you give people chances, and you're teaching them, because you're operating and teaching them how to lead. So you got to be able to help let them delegate. So I had to learn about delegating. I had to learn about listening and having conversations. But I think that was a big, big, big one for me. I also, um, really, I think one of my other hardest lessons that I had to get clear on immediately, because I saw it affect the business, was to make sure that as I'm leading, and as I'm delegating, to make sure that the people that I am leading and delegating in are looking up to me and listening to me, and I'm making sure that they are clear about what they need to do. I realized that, and if they don't have everything that they need, then I'm also making sure I'm empowering them to advocate for what they need to be able to do their job, but also having systems and things in place for them to be able to thrive and be successful. So one of the things that we talk about all the time is making sure I constantly am looking at, if we're saying we want to do this, and want to produce these outcomes, do we have everything that we need to be able to do those? Like seriously, you know what I mean? And sometimes we don't. We want to be able to do this, but you don't even have a working system. You don't have a working computer. You know what I mean? So really just making sure that I am equipping, not only myself, but the team to be able to have what they need, so that we can be able to sustain, we can be able to function. But to me, to make sure our students, our young people are going to be successful, and be successful from our programs.
Wow. As you mentioned that delegation part, I want you to know that that's a struggle for me. And
Mm,
so, can you tell me, but after you went through all of this and you realized this, and you had your mentors telling you how to do that, how did that make you feel as the actual leader of your organization to be able to delegate, to
mhm.
teach, and to train these people?
So, both in a 9 to 5 and now in my business, it was hard. I'm still navigating that, but I'm not as but so initially, I'm going to be honest with you, Mr. King. When I heard it, I thought it was an attack. I thought initially, when they're talking about that to me, like I'm not doing a good job, and that you're trying to take something away from me. And I was very territorial over. my assignment, knowing that I was overwhelmed, overworked, had too much on my plate, right? And then I'm talking about that. And then when they come and give it to something, I'm like, well, no, I don't want to give it to nobody. They're not going to do it the way I'm doing all these things, right? And then I think I realized, and I was just saying this, I believe yesterday, that when we look at everybody's role in the organization. And with this one activity my mentor did with me, and I was telling this one of my sister colleagues yesterday that would really help me is she had all of us list all of our roles and responsibilities. And then we went around to see did some of us have the same things? Because sometimes we're doing other people's things, we're doing this person thing, we're doing that person thing, and then we might not even be getting done what we are supposed to be actually doing. I think for me,
Yeah.
I still struggle with working on hiring and being able to do that, and being able to just say, okay, this person can do that. I think initially, to be very transparent and honest, sometimes it was just worrying about making sure you can compensate, depending on where you are in your business. But then if you are a leader and you're strategically planning and you're looking at your annual plan and you're looking at all the things, how you can show up or what you need to do or how you can make that happen. But I think it really took me some time to be like, and I think also too, sometimes I don't know if this is everybody, but there's trust issues. There's trust issues. And knowing that you still got to go in there and hire people or tell them to do stuff, even if there might be a chance they don't do it perfect. They don't do it like you, or you might have to get somebody else to do it, but you have to go in knowing that and be very well okay with that, because if you're sharp, you're a leader and you know how to pivot and be resilient, you know what you have to do. So maybe have somebody on a retainer, have two backups, you know what I'm saying? Like if just because, but that when you don't do those things, you're not only procrastinating, but you're procrastinating, in your business and in what you're trying to do. So it's tough. It's tough though. I'm still working on it.
So let's talk about your work as an author.
Okay.
When did you first know you were a writer? Not
Ooh.
someone who wanted to write, but someone who had to. And what was the moment the pen became necessary?
Oof, such great questions. I always was writing when I was in school. Love to write, love to do my work. I would even at home get grab notebooks and just write, like write my name, draw, just write. When the pen mattered, I would say when I was going through my tough times, going through my tough times after middle school and friendships and self-esteem and high school and not liking myself and all these things, journaling. That's when the pen started mattering. I started to journal. I started to be able to try to, and we called them diaries back then. They don't call them that anymore. But we would go and I would get the diaries that had the lock with the key, and I would journal and I would write my thoughts and just have a place to get things out. And I think that's when it mattered, because I felt like sometimes people don't understand me, or nobody's gonna understand. So when that started, that helped me get my thoughts out, or writing letters and different things. And I think I came back to that, especially during COVID, where we couldn't really do as much. And I was just dealing with so much. As a service professional, I still had to go in to the building to work in the school district. So I still was dealing with so many things. So journaling, I picked it back up and started writing. And from there, I wanted to tell my story. So, but also while I was trying to tell my story and I was journaling and writing, I was going through a healing process myself. I was in therapy, I was journaling, I was trying to figure things out. And I wrote my book called I Forgive Myself for Forgetting Myself. But it was hard for me, I think, to kind of finish it and go through the process. So there was uh the publishing of my book is from 13 and Joan, and Audrey O'Day. She has a company and she did writing retreats, and I went there and I was like, okay, let me try to write this book, but I was struggling. So she was like, well, do it your way. Like, how do you want to write it? So what I started doing was taking my phone and just recording myself and then letting it
Oh, wow.
record and then transcribe it into the Word document, Google Docs, and then we would go back and edit it. And in 4 days, I had my manuscript of my book. I forgive myself for
Wow.
forgive just by just doing that, instead of keep trying to type on the computer and getting distracted. And I was like, wow. And then that was 2021, and then it came out, 2022. But it's a self-help journal, and help book to help those of us who sometimes, especially in our communities, Mr. King, we don't want to go talk to anybody. Our business is supposed to stay our business. Some of us, we don't write because we feel like writing is a homework. So it was just prompts or questions that I asked myself during my hard times that I put in a book for us to be able to say, what does this look like? And right after you have the question and you can write, there's a prompt and there's an affirmation right after to be able to just encourage you and fill your cup back up. But then writing, I write every single day. I write in my notebooks just about the things I'm doing each day. In my workshops and for my students and my young people, I incorporate journaling and expressive writing because I feel like sometimes before we ask maybe hard questions or big questions, let's give some time to think about it. So I always tell them kind of like do a brain dump or a heart dump to be able to express themselves. But I think it really mattered when I was able to just be free about how I felt, and I didn't have to worry about somebody looking at me weird or wrong because I felt the way I felt.
Well, let me put this on the screen for you.
Yes, yes. I forgive myself for forgetting myself. We are available through Amazon, Books a Million, Barnes and Nobles, and then there's other platforms too that I think they outsource and they get the book and they sell it. But Amazon is the fastest way to be able to get the book if you choose.
So, can you tell us a little bit? Can you, if you don't mind, if
Yes.
you can go a little bit in depth with the title of your book? Why that
Mm-hmm.
title?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean?
Yeah. So I forgive myself for forgetting myself means so much. It's two parts. The first part I think that I masked, and it means a lot, and I was doing it, but I think I used it at the time because I was working during COVID and was a service essential worker showing up as a service provider. We typically we show up for everybody else and we put ourselves last and we don't show up for ourselves. So I feel like I was doing all the things for everybody else and I wasn't taking care of myself. And then I started to go backwards from that moment of COVID and started going back. And I was like, well, this is not just COVID, right? Even when I was working in the school system and education, right? I'm looking at like, I remember getting sick. My Mr. King, from my hips down to my ankles, I lost feeling in my legs except for my knees. And I went to the doctors and they didn't know what it was. And we did all these tests, right? And I did the body scan. I went to a neurologist. They did the pins and needles things to test. I did blood work. Everything was normal. It was stress and not taking care of myself. And I realized I wasn't eating like I should. I wasn't going to the bathroom like I was going needed to go. Not too much TMI, but I'm just letting you know it was just always on the go and always just showing up, doing everything for everybody else. And I realized that I was forgetting about me. I was forgetting about me. And my mentor, Reverend Sheila L. Thorpe, she told me, she said, if you drop dead in this office, they're going to pick up your body and wheel you out, and somebody will replace you immediately, right? So let me tell you, Mr. King, you know me, the young virgin. I'm like, what is she trying to say? They don't care about me being dead. I'm missing the point because I'm not getting it. Just like when she told me about delegating, like I wasn't trying to hear it. And when she said that, that never left me. I went home. I was upset. I was like, why did she say that? They don't even care. They just get somebody else with. They're not gonna come to the funeral. I'm thinking about the other stuff and not the message, right? Mr. King, I'm not thinking about the message. And when I thought about that, I was like, "Oh, I get it. I'm not taking care of myself." So then I started going even backwards. All I was like, "Okay, I haven't. When was the last time I got my physical? When was the last time I got my eyes checked? Like just in general about I was just forgetting about me. That was that first part. The other part that I think is more deeper, that I think is so key that I don't want you to miss this. Anybody that's watching and those of you that are watching now, the fact that you're forgetting about you as a person. What do you like? What do you enjoy? Like I could not tell you. People were asking me like, well, what do you like to do for fun, or what are you happy about? I could not answer questions that typically you may think is simple. I wasn't, because I wasn't even thinking about that. I didn't even know what makes me happy. I didn't even know when I was in my relationships, just all the things I just completely have forgot about Shatira, Maisha, Porte. And I said, that is not okay. And then I had to have a separate conversation. So I went to my grandmother, I went to my son, and I when I got it and being in therapy and different things, I said, all right, y'all, it's a time for a shift. this New Year's resolution. And I remember after that, I never did a New Year's resolution after this, but I started doing my word for the year. I told myself, I'm going to focus on me. I got to put myself first to be able to show up for you, for my son, and for the family. I said, and I don't want you to think I'm being selfish. And I said, this is self love. And that's when it really started happening. So, just the book is just a reminder of, are you checking in with yourself every day? Do you know what you like, right? Are you happy? If you're not, what's going on? It's really being present in your own body, in your own mind, and in your own heart about what is working and what's not working. And then realizing, what do you need to change? Like doing your own, I call it inventory checklist in the book. Really do taking an inventory of people, places, and things, yourself, and what do you need in this moment? Do you need to take a break? Do you need to eat? Do you need to rest? Do you need to just pray? Do you need to go on vacation? Do you, whatever it is? And it's really just remembering who you are, what you need on a day to day.
So, what themes live at the heart of your written work? If someone had never read a
That's good.
single word you've written, how would you describe what your work is really about?
That is so good, Mr. King. I would say what always comes up, the moral, the message behind everything is to not give up. Keep going. Take care of yourself. Celebrate yourself. Um, it's interesting. With me and one of my good friends, one of my best friends, we were talking about feeling inspired and motivated, and people around me was saying that they're not motivated or inspired by anything, and that to me is like diabolical. Like, I'm like, what is going on with y'all? Like, who are you around? What's going on? Like, you're not motivated? Like, it blows my mind to this day. Like, I'm upset about it. But I think it's just the undertones of my work is always going to remind you that you matter, that you are important, that you, no matter how hard it gets, don't you give up, you keep going. And that's really what it is, just reminding self that you are important, and really celebrating who you are, and that you have something to give, and you just got to keep going. I really do not like when I hear people just not trying or want to give up. I just feel like, come on, you got more to you. You wouldn't be here. You have a gift. Somebody's waiting for you to do something with that. So I'm really like passionate about making sure people, operate in something that's like they're calling, or that's just motivated, or they find something that they're happy about to be able to do each and every day.
Take us inside your writing process. Where do you write? When?
Hmm.
What does that sacred space look like? And how do you find your way into the work?
That is so great to ask. My writing is in a journal and notebook. So I'm not a type on a computer. I'm not take your phone out and text in a app or a note. If I use the phone, it's like audio. Even my best friends know. I'll send, instead of a text, Mr. King, I'm sending you an audio. It's like an audio book because it's not short. And I'm telling you what's going on. And I'm talking to you as if we're on the phone. But as far as my writing process, it's a journal. I used to go out like maybe once a month and get three or four, or order them online. But I have notebooks where I journal. And it looks so, usually in the beginning, it was just um carving out time daily, picking a time during the day, where you would write. And I even joined Project Right Now. It's a organization, a nonprofit organization that I also was a writing facilitator for. But they would have a morning pages. It was 7 a.m. Monday through Friday, where we would get on Zoom like this, but we have our notebooks, and we would just allot an hour's worth of time to write whatever we wanted to write. That helped just be able to get disciplined and being able to see what that looks like. And when you write, it's just whatever your thoughts are, if something's on your mind, if something comes up, if you're writing a book. But I think now what it is I call my downloads. So I get a lot of thoughts and messages and different things. And I typically like to write them as soon as possible, because it's either going to just something that I need to hear, I need to work on, or it's something that's helping me with my business or my work. So right now, I try. It's typically I'm going to write in the morning part of the day. Right. I get up at 4:30 every morning. Ever since COVID, I started getting up. I'm not sure if you heard, I forget the gentleman's name, but it's called the 5 a.m. Club. And it was this gentleman who started the 5 a.m. Club, where they said that most people that get up and they start operating their day at 5 a.m., they get things done. Most of the things they get done for the day is by 8:30 a.m. And it really sets a tone of, like, successful people by getting up early and getting things done. And then I started, because I'm a high achiever, started saying, well, I'm gonna get up at 4:30 a.m. So ever since then, I've just been getting up at 4:30. So typically I get up, I pray, I journal. I have a daily word that I read every day, or I write. But writing also helps me not only express myself, but it just gets, I'm somebody that the thoughts are constantly running through my mind. I'm a visionary. So it helps me be able to write. So, and then sometimes I'll write in the night if something comes up, but now I keep a post-it or my journal in my bag with me everywhere I go, because that's how amazing it is for me to get these downloads I call that I need to write. But I think I started, what helped me is to stop worrying about if I'm spelling the words right or making it as formal. And then it's a tool. So it's just kind of like my best friend that's with me, that I'm utilizing the writing process.
Wow. So with your journals, because you say you use a journal. So
Yes.
what if like if you have, like, let's just say, three journals that you use to write your book,
Yes. Yes.
which means that you've already got your master copy. Do you like
Yes.
just keep them together, bound in like a safe space?
Hmm.
And if so, what does that mean for you as you continue to write?
Right. So I have my books, and my book, my I Forgive Myself for Forgetting Myself, is a book that you can write in. So I tell people that you can purchase this book and use it for career, personal, relationships, and you can go back to it and just see your journey and kind of check off, or if there's areas that you didn't finish. It's like a resource. My books and journals, I have so many, most of them that I feel like I'm not, I call it my unfinished business, work that I did not complete or I'm still working on, or I got to get back to, they are still visible or I have access to. So they're somewhere on the shelf, or there's somewhere in, like, a bag that I have, my journal bag, where I can kind of go through those things. And then there's some where I looked at and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna keep this. I'm not gonna utilize it right now, but I'm gonna keep this. And then some I have maybe looked at it and highlighted it in keywords to be able to put it together for. I'm working on a second book. But I think it's good to be able to go back for two reasons. Even if you're not going to write a book, it's really good when you are healing and you're going through that process and you've overcome that hump. It's great to go back to that to see how far you came from, because it's your testimony and story. I also feel like when you don't have the words to articulate and you have a journal that you have with you every day, and you do go to seek help, or you need help. Like, sometimes we don't know how to say it. The journal might be a reference to and be like, wait, I think I talked about that, and be able to share. So I really think, because sometimes our memory, I don't know about yours, Mr. King, some people memory is a little foggy these days. So I think in the journal, I think the journal helps to be able to, keep up with the day to days of your feelings, your emotions, wins, celebrations. I also tell people to keep a win journal, where you just writing down every day what went well, or whatever that looks like. So but typically, like I said, I have two next to me right now, and they have different purposes. And then sometimes I'll have one that's a journal just for God. Every day I'm just journaling and talking to him. And then if I feel like he tells me things or things, I'm using it there. But I have right now probably two active journals I'm writing in, and one that I'm going back reading within the last quarter to see if there's anything in there that I need to make sure I follow back up with.
I love that. I love that.
Hmm.
That is, I mean, that's just being on top of it. That actually helps it for a lot of people. That
Yes.
helps organizing. That keeps
Yes.
organized. I
Yes.
mean, I really do like that.
Yes.
Um, every author has something they most want readers to walk away feeling after the last page.
Mm,
What is that feeling, that truth that you most want to leave in the hearts of your readers?
mm. I think the thing that I do in conversation and with readers and in the book is just it's just reminding. I think it's a confidence, increasing confidence in self, and just believing that you are enough, even if things are lifing right then and there. but I truly believe I just want readers to walk away having a either a reminder or a newfound definition or love for themselves as a person. I think sometimes we're too busy or we're pouring into our partners or whatever the case may be, but we forget about us. And I just want you to remind yourself just to know that you matter too and to take care of yourself, and just love on you. So that's typically just reminding them that they are important. They are important.
We're almost at the top of the hour. Do you mind
Mhm.
going a little bit over the hour?
Sure, sure, I'm here.
Okay. So let's talk now about your community engagement and advocacy.
Yes.
How do you personally define community? Not the
Mm.
dictionary definition, but your definition, the one born from your lived experiences. And why does community matter so deeply to you?
Mm. Listen, my community, when they watch this child, they're gonna be like, she's community. I should have a t-shirt that say I'm community because I community matters to me. It really does. I'm part of different organizations and communities. And one of the things is I'm always making sure we learn from each other and grow from each other. I really feel like we are not supposed to do life without God and without somebody else. I believe her name is Tiffany Haynes. She has God's Math, and she talks about people coming together and to be able to multiply and to be able to do great things with one another. And if Corey's still on here, please Corey, write Tiffany's last name in God's Math because I know we read that book together. But I truly believe that community is a place where you can celebrate, you can be transparent, vulnerable, you can learn, you can collaborate, you can grow. Some of my biggest growing lessons and biggest spurts came from being inside a community. One of the communities to this day that it took me a while to join, I was watching behind the screen, and then jumped in was our seven-figure educator community with Dr. Erica Jordan Thomas. It is for especially for Black education consultants or educators who are either thinking about having a business or you have a business or you work full time and have a business. She truly highlights the important work of educators and what we mean to our communities and to this field and what we do. And when I joined that community, I met biz besties, best friends. I met sisterhood and brotherhood, and I've also seen my business grow in revenue, in partnerships and speaking engagements. And that's just one community. And there's other communities also that from that or from other places that I built where I now have sisters and friends, or the community knows about what you do and says, you know what? I want to refer you, right? And it doesn't always have to be revenue or money or things, but I just think being able to have family, you know what I mean? Because I've had a small family all my life, and then most of my family is not here or around locally. Community for me was important because it became family and it became resources and it became my safe space. So when I think about community, I think about a place where you can go and be loved on and poured into. And you also, I do believe in community. There has to be reciprocity. You cannot go in a place and take, Mr. King. That's no, no, no. We're not doing that. That's not
Yes,
allowed.
yes,
But I truly
yes.
believe that when we all are coming together and we win together, it's a beautiful thing. So community to me is family, but it's also going into spaces to learn, to give, and to be celebrated, but also to collaborate and just grow with each other and support each other. And it's okay to go into a community and find it that it's not working, and you get yourself out and go and keep going. And you can be part of more than one. I have community for education consultants. I have community for moms. I have communities for Black women. I have communities for leadership. I had community when I was in Goldman Sachs. You can, and community seasons can be over, or you can still go back to. But to be honest, anyone that is listening and watching, if you do not have a community, please, that's your homework this weekend. And then come back to the YouTube and then come back to the YouTube video, baby, and type it underneath. I got my community, or go on LinkedIn and tag me and Mr. King and let us know you got community and what's the group, because it's important. I truly believe you are not supposed to do life alone. And some of y'all just like, I can do it myself. Okay. Okay. Go get yourself some community, please.
Here is the put this on the screen for you.
Okay.
This is in the comments.
Yes, Tiffany Haynes. Yeah, she's so good. She talks about it. She's on Instagram. I found her on Instagram, but she met, I forget the other young lady she met, and they came together and they did God's math, meaning like one plus one coming together and being able to, and now they are killing it across the world. So I truly believe community is an amazing thing to be a part of.
So, which specific communities have you poured into most intentionally, and what drew you to serve those particular people in those particular places?
Mm. So I have started some of my own community. So I'm a mentor for new counselors and I have mentees. So initially back in COVID, I started my Courageous Counselors and it was for school counselors across the world for us to come together and to be able to learn from each other. And through that, I continue to build relationships and I have mentees and just school counselors who are new in the field, and especially women of color. So Black school counselors who are either internationally providing services or currently in the US. And I feel like that is one way that I feel like I am giving back to be able to, because I didn't have that safe space, you know what I mean? To have being a part of a community of Black women who were school counselors that could, pour into each other and kind of see how that works. So I was able to create that through my business and be able to connect, especially with school counselors, and continue to be like a mentor and a support system. One of the communities I feel like I show up definitely, and they show up for me, is the seven figure educator for the educators. So if you are an educator and you are looking for a community outside of your district, outside of where you live, and you want a safe space, come join us. We actually going to be in ATL in Atlanta. The week of September 8th, I think, but the 9th, 10th, we're going to be in Atlanta with Dr. Erica Jordan Thomas. She's celebrating 5 years. Come on and join us. You can get your ticket. You can find her. I think other communities that I've been a part of, like I said, was the Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women in Business, New Jersey Black Women Collectives. I'm part of the NAPSE, so the National Black Educators Alliance. I'm also a part of School Counselors or Association. We have the Association of International Black Educators. So a lot of it is like education, school counselor services, but then also community can be your churches and your women's groups and there's like let's say if there's a black or if there's a matcha group, sign me up. I love some matcha, like so I just right now though it's really those educate. Oh, I'm also a part of, which is really good that I love, is called the abbreviation is TCC, and it's the collaborative with Dr. Q, and she has a community that I meet with every 2 weeks where we pour into each other, and it's a community of all Black women education consultants. And what we do is we come together and we go after RFPs together, requests for proposals for education contracts and government contracts, to be able to come together and use our expertise to be able to impact our communities in a big way, but we don't have to do it by ourselves. So that's another community that's super dope.
Wow. Well, look, when you get down here to Atlanta, make sure you connect with me because I definitely love
Yes.
to get a coffee with you.
Yes, okay. I didn't know. Definitely. I'm gonna let you know right after this the dates. I'm gonna look at the calendar to make sure. Yes, and I'll be usually I'm there for I think I'm coming up there on a Tuesday or Wednesday to that Sunday or Monday. So definitely.
And this is from Mr. Jackson. That's here in the that's here in the chat.
Mr. King, that's somebody that you need on your episode. I'm telling you, he gonna remind me my notes because I be going so fast, like Sonic the Hedgehog. So he'll tell me like
Look, it's always good to have that plus one.
yes, it is.
Tell us about an initiative, a program, or a movement that you have either launched or supported
Mm,
that you are most proud of. What was the need, and what did the work look like on the ground?
I love it. I love it. Oh my goodness. That would be our girls empowerment program. That's a program since I started school counselors on wheels, but it was a program I know I needed and I didn't have much of, especially with young girls coming up, and then even girls today, the social media issues or arguments or different things that they're dealing with, self-esteem. So the initiative that we started was our young girls empowerment program since our existence of 5 years. that has been a program that every year we have provided services for in school districts, organizations. That's important. And it's our Blossom Within program. And we help young girls blossom within themselves, like mentally, emotionally, socially, academically, to make sure that they're just growing and they're able to, some of the things include being able to make healthy decisions, being able to identify their self-worth, increase their confidence. And I think that's so key, especially for young women, because as women, sometimes, we're told to shrink, or sometimes we are told to not be too much. And I think in our Younger Ladies program, you can be you. You can have your natural hair, you can have your locks, you can have, be proud of where you come from, the culture, your background, your history, just wherever you want to be when you grow up. And I think that's what's really, really important, an initiative that we take pride in, to be able to empower young girls and our young guys too. But that initiative just been so powerful, to be able to let them know their voice matters, they matter, and that they could be anything that they want to be.
What gap did you see in the communities around you that no one else seemed to
Mm,
be feeling? The gap that made you say, if not me, then who?
mm. I would go back to because growing up we had like the athletics, and that was big. But I would say two gaps, but I definitely would go back to say first is the definitely the girls empowerment program and empowering the girls. I don't remember having or seeing that where they primarily focused on us, empowering us in that big of a way. And I felt like that was important. And I think that would have also helped me as I was navigating middle school and high school. And then the other piece of that is that college and career readiness gap, just making sure, I think for me, my grandmother, because she was working several jobs and trying to take care of us and different things, she may not have known what was available to us to make a decision about college or career, technical education, or a pathway. So when I became a school counselor in the school system, I think in being able to remember that it was kind of trying to make sure that I could expose or provide as much resources as I could to boarding schools, college and career, dual enrollment, study abroad, EOF programs, right? Like just different things that we may not always have access to or know what it even means. And I think the second piece was just making sure that our young people, before they leave and graduate high school, they were able to identify their, I call it their define their destination, but identify what they want to do and how they're going to get there and what is out there, like scholarships or resources and internships, or how to set yourself up for success, to be able to do that. So I feel like those are two programs that I feel like I'm working to close the gap. And what we do here at School Counselors on Wheels, it's called closing the student readiness gap. And it's making sure that our students are ready and prepared to be able to shift so that they can continue on their journey. And I think that readiness, being prepared and being ready, people have a different definition of that. And I think just getting a diploma, just going to school, there's more than that to getting ready, and there's this like exposure and some skills, like, right, some soft skills, some communication, problem solving, decision. There's skills also with that I don't necessarily see that our young people have spent as much time as I think they should, while they're coming up.
Okay, and Mr. Jackson just put this
Hmm.
here in the chat.
Oh,
Um,
yes, yes, yes. Dr. EJT, she's amazing. If you are not following Dr. EJT, she's changed my life. That's also another mentor, Mr. King, who she was an educator. She was a high school math teacher. She became a principal, and now she runs a multi-million dollar business where she's helping educators with financial freedom and really helping us to lean into our zone of genius and know that if anybody deserves to be a millionaire and to be able to financially be free is educators.
let's go over to your Black History influences. You
Okay.
told me that your grandmother, your great grandmother, Ruby Simmons, and Reverend Sheila L. Thorpe were the most influential
Yes.
persons in your life and career.
Yes.
So, can you tell us, um, with these black historical figures who have most shaped who you are,
Mm.
and what is it specifically about their stories that speaks directly to yours?
Yeah, so Miss Simmons definitely, she's the one that hold my hand, along with Mr. Kramer. He was the educator I told you about that was telling me about being able to have a business, and he showed me what it didn't take much to write a book. But Miss Simmons, Ruby Simmons, she met with me after work, and she would talk to me or she would give me advice, and she would say that I could do this. And if I wrote something ever, she would look it over, because she's an author and she's a self-publishing author of many books, and she does different genres. And she was just so instrumental in empowering me to make sure. And even in my book, I dedicate my book to her. She was one of the people I dedicated my book to because of her support, because I think it's important to have somebody that has done this and that can support you. But she also, just even to this day, she'll send me a note just saying, or she'll type something on LinkedIn just to let me know she's proud of me. And I just think that's amazing when you can make your mentor and somebody just always reminding you they're proud of you. Reverend Sheila L. Thorpe, when I tell you, I've came to her, she was my boss, right? My leader in education. And I came to her after transitioning from mental health to education. And I had work trauma. I was coming from environments that did not uplift Black women. So when I came
Mm.
to her, yeah, it was rough. And when I came to her, I came to her for a job and to really get out of the situation I was in. And I think even be having I would say those last, let's say 10 years or so of work trauma and defeat, I lost seeing my own value and contribution to any place. So when I interviewed with her, the interview was more of a conversation, and she helped me also realize and reflect on where I was at up until I sat in front of her office. And even if I wanted to give up, she never would allow me to. So helped me instill more confidence. She helped me show me what a leader is and that my voice matters in any room I walk into. And she challenged me. She challenged me a lot. And she challenged me to think bigger and brighter and more strategic, but also through policies and procedures and legally. So it was really good. And then my great grandmother and my grandmother, they just showed me that even as a widow, or even as a single mom, or whatever the case may be, no matter what happens, as a mother, as a wife, as a woman, you keep going. Like, they just showed me I get my resilience, but they did it with so much class. And they are women who you rarely saw them cry, because they were always making sure they was providing for their family. But also, I think now what I can appreciate, Mr. King, that I did not get when I was younger. I thought they were punishing us to go to church, and punishing was their faith. They would say to
Right.
me all the times, like, I'm praying for you. Did you talk to God? I'm like, what he gonna tell me? What he gonna say? Like, this was me younger. Like, I was a mess, child. And still going every Sunday, still telling them, what is that going to do, child? And all of the women that I've named, they go to church, they faith, but I was the pistol. And my mom and all of them. And then I think they taught me, like, just now, about my faith, and just being a good mom. And also, families, you sacrifice the sacrifices that come with it, but the faith, they are faithful women. And I'm so thankful for them. Hmm.
So, how has Black history, not just the dates and the events, but the
Mm,
spirit of it, shaped your personal identity and the purpose you walk in every day?
I love it, because when I look around and I look of who has done so much work and influence on it, because it means so much to me, Mr. King, because when I was younger, I said earlier that I dealt with colorism. So people would try to make me feel like my skin was too dark coming up. And I was compared a lot. So that really impacted my confidence, and how I looked at myself. And now you can't tell me nothing. I'm proud to be a sister. I'm proud of my skin. I'm proud to be like just recently, Mr. King, I was interviewed on a podcast called The Exit Interview, and it talks about people who are in education, who left education to be able to be, I call them like from State of Black Learning, they call them disruptors, right? And to be able to do something different in education. And now we have been that podcast by Dr. Asia Lyons has now been archived in the Schomburg Cultural Center in Harlem. And we are now amongst my interview in this is now among in a resource culture center of other Black Malcolm X, Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou. Like, so just to be able to, and we've known the works that they did, and all of you young, my pastor would say Thundercats, don't that don't know them, make sure you go research, But I just think I would just say, just being able to um just be part of a lineage and especially of the women and the people in my family and just be able to be represent Black history. That's why I show up too in a level of excellence because that's important. Because sometimes you have the world and people that are not so nice to try to take down all the things that we do. So it's important for me to represent a high level of Black excellence, and how I do that is to make sure that we're empowering our young people.
I want to thank you too because that's what this
Thank
platform does,
you.
and that's our whole
Yes.
premise. And I can guarantee you that each and every show from all three
Mm,
shows in this ecosystem, the whole premise is to archive these stories so that
yes.
they do live forever and ever and ever, and we're not worrying
Yes.
about somebody stealing what
Right.
has been done and trying to erase it.
Come on. Come on. Mm.
This is
Thank
Mr.
you for
Jackson.
that,
This is
Dr. King. Thank you for
uh,
that, for you for saying that and doing that and working and changing trends and times, because that's what you're literally doing, right? So that
mhm.
you, like you said, we're protecting our legacy, our stories, and the things that we've done.
Mr. Jackson left these last two comments. I'm assuming that he's
Hmm.
departed.
Okay.
Put this first one up. He says, "Thank you both. This is an amazing platform, and you all are doing something
Yes.
so important. The information and the tools are awesome. I really enjoyed this." And it says, "Shatiera Porte, you are changing the world."
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
And his last thing is, "Congratulations on 5 years."
Thank you so much. He has been there from the start. He's definitely a sponsor. He sponsors some of our youth in our programs, and he's just somebody that is a faithful Christian man who just believes in community. He did recently did a community day that I was a part of and I attended, and that's what I'm saying. Like just having community around you and people that believe in you and that show up for you, and you do the same thing.
So this is the last question for you.
Yes.
When your chapter is written, when
Mm.
someone 50 years from now reads the story of Shatiera Porte, what do you want that chapter to say? And what is the legacy you're building brick by brick right now?
Mm. My legacy that I want someone to say is that she loved her son, she loved the kids, the youth, she wants better for them. She has high expectations. She can be a little tough, meaning like just making sure like you're studying, you're working hard, you don't give up, you're giving your best to each and every day. So she wants the best for young people and people in general. But she also, I think, brick by brick, and every day when I wake up, I'm always asking myself, right, how do we continue to drive this mission for student success, and how do I help get our students ready, right? From a social, emotional, academic, and mental standpoint. How are we helping students feel like they're prepared? You hear workforce development, jobs, and people are saying when these young people get to us, they don't have the skills, they don't know what they're doing. Like, that doesn't make me feel good hearing that. I'm not closing my ears to like, so what do we need to do, right? Instead of pointing the fingers and they're not ready, like, how do we get them prepared? How do you help? How do you partner with us so that we can work together to, you know what I mean, to get them prepared. So I'm always thinking about, and I think right now, building? How do we set our students up for success each day? And what do we need to teach them? And I truly believe what we're building in School Counselors on Wheels are programs that are youth development programs that are outside academics. And I truly feel like there needs to be classes as young as they start that builds all the way up, that helps with youth development, that focuses on a soft skill or some type of decision making skill, like other than your math sciences and on all the things that they're required to. There's other things where that they're taking as well. We used to have home ec, we used to have all these different classes and skills, and now you might have to go to a different school to apply to, and everybody doesn't have access to it. So having access, and making everything inclusive and embedded in their day to day, that they are set up for success, so that when they are ready, they can look at the list and they could choose where they want to go and what they want to do and what they want to be. And they don't have to worry about having five jobs or doing all the things or waiting 2 years before somebody hires them. Like, it's just that's not what I want for our young people.
So, what are some words of wisdom and encouragement you have for our audience as we're getting ready to close?
Mm,
How they can connect with you via your social media, go to your website, purchase your book. If you want
mhm.
to tell them about more projects, all of that good stuff.
Yes, yes. So everyone that's watching and those who will be watching later, just thank you for first tuning in to Changing the Trends and Times. I am Shatira Porte, founder and CEO, author, speaker of School Counselors on Wheels, and the author of I Forgive Myself for Forgetting Myself. You can grab that. Um, One way you can be able to reach me is you can be able to reach me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook, or you can email me at schoolcounselor.onwheels.com, school counselor singular onwheels.com. And I would just say, as far as you continue to build community, and you continue to just the environment around you, continue to just pour into a young person, encourage them. One of the things is I know what it feels like needing to have somebody to encourage me. Whether it is, and maybe you don't have, I know a lot of us, we don't have the capacity or the time, but even the wise words. I think having a young person be seen and feeling seen by someone and giving them an advice to say to keep going. Ask them today, what win are you celebrating? But just try to just pour into the community. Donate to your local organization, your schools. Reach out to School Counselors on Wheels. We're always looking for someone to adopt students in our organization. And what that means essentially is we want to continue to be able to internationally and locally and in state to be able to continue to provide programs and services to kids to make sure they're set up for success. So I would just say continue to pour into your young people. You can reach out to me by emailing me, and then we could always set up a call to be able to talk about, how you can support us and the youth and the organizations that we are providing services to. Things that are coming up. I just got back from two conferences, but I am going to Atlanta in September to the Seven Figure Educator. Um, Live event. I'm also going to be going to North Carolina for a women's leadership conference I'll be speaking at, and I'll be in Utah in October for a conference that I'm speaking at as well. So I am an empowerment, motivational, youth empowerment, and educator empowerment speaker. So if you are looking for your next key speaker, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Before I do my
Yes,
closing, I've got
yes,
a comment here from this young man here,
yes.
Brian Zion. He was a guest on the show, and
Mm,
I want to tell you that you didn't leave your email, but I really would love for you and Brian to connect.
yes,
You guys are in different parts of the country. He's in Florida, I think, and I know you're in Jersey. But he is definitely one of those great educators that is also making some change. And I think that you guys should
I
get
love
the
that.
opportunity to connect.
I love that. He's right because typically the way world language is presented, and I've seen it as being a school counselor, is it's kind of like I'm gonna tell a quick story too, because when I was coming up, my choice of furthering my language and development and coursework was Spanish. So I started in middle school and went to high school. I only know numbers and colors. I cannot have a conversational converse or kind of a conversational conversation with it. And I'm not happy about that because of all the years that I took the course and wasn't. But what he's saying is, I think now we see it as world language is presented as meeting the requirement that is supposed to be for the graduation, and it's not maybe necessarily something that could be like I'm saying a skill that I think that my son, I tell him all the time, I want you to have a dual, be dual language, have another language. So I think you're certainly right, Brian, and we need you to be able to continue to, as you said, this message here on this platform. Make sure you continue to scream it from the rooftops on your platforms and just continue to get that message out there, because it is a requirement, to graduate in some college and university, but sometimes people are just meeting that requirement. So when they go to the college level or continue, they may not be continuing to, learn about it. And I think you're right. It is something that's really necessary, especially around these times today.
So for those of you that have been with us this entire time, I appreciate
Yes.
you,
Yes. Thank
and I'm
you.
so
Mhm.
thankful that you guys are here. And I hope that you guys got a lot of information,
Yes.
but also a lot of knowledge as to how to move and to build your
Yes.
community. And
Yes.
so, in closing,
Mm.
what a conversation! Um, what a gift! There are episodes that entertain, and then there are episodes that change something in you,
Mm.
that expand something, that leave a residue of truth that you carry with you long after the screen goes dark or the audio fades out.
Yes.
This was one of those episodes. Everything that Shatiera Porte'e brought into this space today, the honesty, the vision, the fire, the grace, that
Mm.
was not performance. That was a woman who has done the work, paid the price, and earned the right to speak with the kind of authority that
Yes.
only comes from actually living it.
Yes.
I want to honor her specifically because what she shared today was not easy to share, and she shared it anyway. That is what leaders do. They open themselves up so that others can find their own opening. Shatiera, on behalf of AMIBW Media Ecosystem, the entire Changing Trends and Times family, and every single person who
Mm.
watched, listened, and received today, thank you. Thank you for being exactly who you are, without apology, without performance, without dilution. The world needs more of what you are carrying, and I am grateful,
Mm.
genuinely grateful, that you chose to carry it here with us today. And to everyone in our audience, I need you to hear this as you close out this episode. Whatever trend is moving around you right now,
Mm.
whatever shift is happening in your industry, your family, your community, your own spirit, you're not a
Mm.
passenger in that change. You are a participant. You have been equipped, you have been positioned, and if today's conversation did nothing else, I hope it reminded you that your story is worth telling, your
Yes.
work is worth doing, and your
Yeah.
life, exactly as it is, exactly where it is the raw material for something extraordinary. This is the truth we come here to tell. Every Saturday, every episode, every season. That is the mission of Changing Trends and Times. We're building something here together, a cultural archive, a community of thinkers, dreamers, builders, and believers. If this episode moved you, do not keep it to yourself. Subscribe to
Mm.
the channel. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Follow us on all platforms. Leave a comment and tell us what hit you hardest today. Your
Mm.
engagement is not just clicks and numbers to
Yes.
us, it is fuel. It tells us that this work matters, and it does. It does. Until next time, I am Charles Zachary King. This has been Changing Trends and Times. And remember, the trend is always changing. Make sure you're the one setting it.
Yeah.
Peace, love, and excellence. And you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday.